That time of year again.
Good morning, Dennis. Thank you for having me.
I'm here with Mr. Steinhardt, and we're going to go over the warrant articles for the special and annual town meeting. Carl's going to do a brief explanation. Hopefully it can help everybody understand this a little bit better.
Okay, well, the first thing to remember is the town meetings are going to be held on Tuesday, May 16th. The special is going to be at 6:30. It's to deal with year-end housekeeping issues. And the annual is going to be at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock at
the first, and this is going to be at the Southwick High School.
Southwick High School.
Where they've been held for the longest time. So the first article that's going to be on the special is going to be one that relates to transfers from existing funds to cover negotiated agreements for staff and cost of living adjustments for 36 non-union people for the present fiscal year. These funds are coming from several salary reserve accounts and available funds that are set aside already, and the funds will also cover backfilling expenses for people who are out on job injuries and sickness. The next article, which is a much larger one, relates to the paying the snow and ice deficit for the remainder of the year. Had a lot of snow and ice events. I mean, we had an above average year.
We did.
So the cost of salt, again, is a big issue. So we want to close our books and balance for the on June 30th. Otherwise, we would have to add that to next year's tax rate. And I don't think people want to pay money on another tax rate in the future when they can get rid of the bill now with the money we already have.
Agreed.
So the other thing, the other issues, we had some additional expenses for our Southwick Police Department cruiser fleet. So that needs to be addressed from an operational point of view. Park and Recreation needs to do some repairs to the mower they use on the rail trail. So we want to get those done as soon as possible so that it'll be available to do the mowing on the trail.
Yeah.
It's a great trail. I was just out there around last evening with my wife for a nice walk.
Nice night for it.
It is a great asset for the town.
You want to keep that nice and mowed, especially with the tick problem that we have.
Yep, there is that issue. And then, of course, we had a transfer to the Finance Committee reserve account. We had a Water Division employee retired in the last couple of months that we hadn't anticipated in the budget planning process. So Finance Committee's funds were used to cover that expense, and these funds will reimburse that. The third item, this is for issues relating to capital items, and we are looking for $300,000 to leverage a $500,000 grant that we got from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for the Small Bridges Program. And this was a great job done by our DPW director, and Mr. Brown and Mr. Grinnells did a good job working on this project. And we were able to secure these funds, so we thank them.
Very much.
So this is going to help deal with a location on the Shirtlift Brook. You're aware of that location?
Oh, absolutely. Been aware of that
North
for a while.
Loomis Street, and it's in bad shape. So this way we can be ahead of it, we can handle it proactively, and we'll be able to do the project in such a way where one lane will always remain open for emergency response services. And then we have another issue, a building maintenance truck, a four-wheel drive, year-round truck, so that we can put a new one in play for that department, and take a older unit that they have and give it to Park and Rec as a seasonal two-wheel drive vehicle, and that will help them deal with issues on the rail trail, pulling the mowers, as well as Wally Park maintenance. So this is something that they had asked for, a new vehicle, but this makes better sense because they more or less need a good vehicle for 2 seasons out of the year, and we need another vehicle for 4 seasons.
Makes sense.
The next item that made sense to do sooner rather than later was a Conservation Commission requires a new updated computer workstation to run its ArcView mapping programs, because they do a lot of mapping issues. They do a lot of research for other town departments and boards and committees. So we need to make sure we give them the good tools to do that. And this represents a good tool for them.
Absolutely.
And then we have some issues with replacing tires for the building inspector's car and the Southwick Fire Department truck fleet, and some of that relates to not just the use of tires and the miles on them, but it also relates to the age of tires. People don't realize that, but there's an age date on rubber on tires.
There is.
Right, and it's a safety issue.
They could dry rot and,
Right, and you would never want to have a vehicle on its way to, an appointment or a safety call or responding to a fire and have an issue with a tire, so that's going to be addressed. And then the other issue is, lastly, the planning board needs a vertical file cabinet to deal with the increased number of sets of plans they have coming in, and their current units are at max capacity. So that's really the last thing for the special.
the Article 4 for this special?
Oh, that's right. Sorry, there's one more. That is the other post-employment benefit trust fund contribution. Each year we do this, and this has to do with making sure that we're able to pay for expenses for retirees, related expenses for healthcare costs. Because right now, up to a certain point, we were just doing it as pay-as-you-go. And that was a big issue for the Postal Service. I heard you had heard about financial issues with them.
Certainly.
Well, it was the OPEB cost was one of the bigger issues for them. So this allows us to accommodate for this potential liability, and it's something that our outside auditor and our bond rating agencies would want to see happen.
Good to be proactive about that.
Yep.
So that is the special town meeting.
Yep.
We'll get to the annual town meeting at 7 o'clock, May 16th.
Yep.
Article 1.
Well, Article 1 actually also calls the town elections, which is going to be next Tuesday, May 9th, at 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So we encourage people to turn out and vote at your precincts here at Town Hall. Again, next Tuesday, May 9th. The other thing I want to encourage people to do is on our town webpage at www.southwickma.org is to go online and look at the warrants that have been posted, both the special and the annual, which also includes the election, have already been posted to the webpage.
It's already on there.
So we would encourage people to go to that webpage, study those documents. So that was the first article, is the election. Articles 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 have to do with the selectmen operating the town government on an annual basis. One is to make sure that they have the authority to appoint minor officers, such as all the department heads, to trade or sell obsolete equipment, to apply for grants, to do short-term borrowings before tax monies come in from tax billings.
So the normal housekeeping
All
issues.
normal housekeeping issues. They are very important issues.
Oh, absolutely.
And then the next items relate to 3 borrowing authorizations. One is for a DPW truck replacement for a full-size multi-use dump truck with a plow package. And again, when you have winters like we had last year, you want to make sure you have good equipment. So this particular request is replacing a 1996 unit. So we want to make sure that that is authorized now and we can order it, because it takes about 6 months
Yeah.
to get one of these things ordered and, fabricated and done. So we're hoping to have it by early winter, if we can get it voted on in May.
We don't want to wait too long on that.
No.
Bad idea.
No,
And
because
we'd like
our weather is crazy.
DPW to keep doing the excellent job that they do on the roads in the winter. A lot of people comment on what a
They
great
do.
job they do.
All in all, relative to other communities and what's going on everywhere, our public works guys do a great job taking care of the roads with the resources that we have and what they're able to work with. So
We want to keep that.
kudos to the DPW guys.
Give them the equipment they need to do that.
The next item relates to the College Highway and North Long Yat water pump stations. These pump stations have been online for 26 years, and they need to have new pumps, motors, and controls. And these stations help us take water out of the water transmission line that comes from Cobble Mountain and places like that go Springfield.
Really? Yeah.
So this, whenever we need to have water to supplement the water we have that we're pumping out of our wells,
Out of the wells.
or if we need it for flushing, or if we need it for backup water, if we did a project or something. So this is a very important, connection that we have with this water supply. And so we need to make sure that we protect the integrity of being able to pump water out of it through these pump stations and into our water system.
I see they're 26 years old, so they probably get
Right,
into the...
and those are just the
Quite
mechanics of
expensive,
them.
too.
The buildings are fine.
Okay, Article 9, I think we're on.
Yep, Article 9 is to replace an existing 10-inch cast iron water main on College Highway from Tannery Road to the Westfield Town Line. And this would be putting in a much larger line, and it would help us supply our, water to the different customers at the north end of town.
You know how important that is.
So that's an important, and that is not an inexpensive thing. That's over, $3 million, but there is going to be an effort by the town on both the water line replacement and the pump station replacement to secure USDA
So you get
loans
some
and grants to
grants.
not only get a good interest rate on the borrowing, but to lower the net cost of what we'll have to borrow by
Excellent.
getting a grant offset.
So you're looking for,
So
is it
3.26
3.26?
million for that. And remember, these things last 40, 50 years.
I
these
hope so.
lines.
Yeah.
They do. So, okay.
Article 10,
Article 10, Dennis, that represents the town budget. And each year, when people go to town meeting, and you can pick this up at the election ahead of time, you'll get a report that's, looks like this, and it's got the colored paper, and it's produced by the Finance Committee, and it's all the budget line items.
is this also online at that website?
This will be online. If it's not already online, it will be online. We just got it in from the printers.
Fantastic. It's a good one to look at before you go to the meeting, because there's a lot of good information in there.
Right, and this is all the department line items. Whatever department you're interested in, snow plowing, police, fire, public works, council on aging, the different boards and committees, all the operations of town government that aren't done through revolving funds and that are done with, other types of fund sources, and the tax rate. This is an important particular article, and this is something that the Finance Committee and the Selectmen hold many meetings during the winter and budget hearings on Saturday mornings. So this document is a work product that comes out of all those efforts.
Is this Article 11 related to that?
Article 11, 12, and 13 are actually all similar, and they have to do with our authorization of our revolving accounts. Each year, we have revolving accounts for the different various inspectors, plumbing, electrical, fire, all these inspectors. We have a hazmat revolving account in case we need to go out and respond to a hazmat scene and then recover money from insurance companies or people who have caused the spills. Boat ramps, revolving accounts, lake permitting, custodial for people that use public buildings, council on aging for their classes. All of these revolving accounts allow us to operate some of these town government functions, and without it, those funds would have to come out of taxation.
And this
And
is,
people would rather prefer that user fees pay for these things.
and this needs to be
rather
done
than
every year,
taxation.
we authorize these accounts.
Right, well, what's
on a
happened,
basis.
here's the interesting thing, Dennis. Article 10 or 11 is just the normal one we've done every year. But now we've had some changes in municipal finance laws.
Oh,
So now they want us to, the state government, DOR, wants us to restructure how we do these revolvings and vote them as a bylaw. So we're going to also vote it the regular way, the new bylaw way, and then another way based upon the spending limits on each account. And this is recommended by the town council because it could take a while before the bylaw is approved by the state. And
take a
if the bylaw wasn't to be approved by the state, we would still need to use the older format. So we actually have to vote this several different ways, but it's all the same accounts, it's all the same dollars, and it's to make sure that we can use funds that we collect for fees and not have to pay for these operations of town government through the tax rate.
So we're gonna do it the old way and the new way.
And the new way.
Use whichever one we need.
Correct. Yep. And then, number 14, I think you're familiar with that.
That's to do with the Channel 15.
Right, and for those of people, like what you're watching us right now through cable TV, that is our PEG channel, Channel 15, also known as Public Education and Government Channel. And new state finance laws also want us to establish and vote at town meeting a revolving account for this department too. And we also have it in the line items in the town budget now too.
Yeah.
So, but this is the revolving account that has to be established to meet the new changes in state finance laws. And I know, Dennis, you know, this has been a new role for you, taking over from Mr. Boyceno, who did a great job for 20 or more years.
We want to thank Art for all
We
the
certainly
years
want
that
to
he-
continue to thank Arthur for what he'd put in place, and now Dennis is carrying that forward. And now, obviously, these operations have to be modernized, and there's an expense to doing that. So as we get the Channel 15 funds in from Comcast, we have to put them in an account, and we have to use it for the purposes of running this program, like the show you're seeing now and the scrolls.
We should see the quality of the broadcast improve.
So,
So I think that brings us to Article 15,
yeah.
the Community Preservation Committee.
And maybe Dennis, you certainly, having been on that committee, might want to speak to that article.
Well, Article 15 and 16, they're housekeeping articles. They have to be done every year. It's part of the state law that 10% must go to open space, 10% for historic, and 10% for housing. That's part of the law, so that's every year that has to be back in the warrant article.
Yeah.
And 16 is the administrative amounts that we can take out of there for secretary and for other type of administrative costs that are involved with this. Most of that money is not spent during the year. It's returned back into the account, but we want to have it available just in case something does come up where we need to spend some money for the...
Right, and and that relates to surveys, the board secretary costs, committee operations, and you know, the statute allows 5%, but our committee has always been able to get through by doing it with 4%, so, and you know, a lot of people should be thanked for that.
And Article 17 is actually a project the CPA is bringing to the town floor.
And I believe there's been a couple of hearings on that.
There have been several hearings.
And so a lot of people have weighed in on that, and of course, the appraisals have come in on those property, and, you know, it's up toward the $5 million range. And the extent of the town of Southwick's support for this is $1 million out of the available community preservation funds on a surcharge that goes with everybody's tax bill. So this would help the town leverage the efforts of the Franklin Land Trust for securing that property from a private owner, and it would also help leverage monies that are coming in from the State Department of Fish and Game,
Wildlife, yeah.
which you know, has done a great job. And you know, I really want to take a moment here to thank Secretary Matt Beaton and our legislative delegation and our other groups, the Land Trust and the owner of the property is working with us.
Representative Baldiga.
Yep,
Don Humison,
Donnie
everybody.
Humison, Nick Baldiga, and their staffs for, you know, trying to make this project a reality by, you know, sort of compiling all these funds from these different fund sources, and we're hoping that we can close that gap. I know we're near the 65 to 70% mark with commitments, and there's other commitments that people are pursuing. And
Be working on that through the summer, I believe,
right,
to bring more money in.
In a land grant from
Land grant for $400,000.
DCS.
Yep.
So-
They're still working on it, but they're looking for $1 million to help preserve 147 acres,
Yeah.
half a mile of shoreline. beautiful
Right.
area.
And it's a beautiful area, and if people haven't been out and looked at this area, or been on the land that abuts it, that Fish and Game operates, go out there and take a walk. You'll see
walk.
all sorts of grasslands and some habitat and vernal pools.
Beautiful
and
area.
woodlands. So
Nice.
we encourage people.
Article 18, also another CPA request to transfer $73,000.
Sure, this is another example of leveraging funds for an agricultural preservation restriction on a farm property on Lara Road. It's something that the town has been able to use these local funds as up to a 10% share. So in this case, it's $730,000 is the value of the property, and what's being asked for here with CPA money is a 10% local share of $73,000. It would allow the farm to continue to be used. If it's ever transferred to another owner, the land stays as open space,
The farm, yep.
as a farm. So this is really one of those things where it's leveraging other state dollars that's paying a whole lot more money toward the owner.
And it is prime farm land, and it is located right next to the wells,
Yep.
Springfield's wells. Okay, moving on to Article 19.
Sure. Article 19 was something that the Finance Committee and the Council on Aging and the Selectmen have looked at that would give tax relief for Southwick seniors.
Nice.
In many communities, there are what are called tax write-off programs where people can get an application, sign up for a program, and if they're income eligible, this would help them be able to put a amount of $1,500 toward the payment of their tax bill if they come in and volunteer their service to different departments and boards and committees
Nice.
in the town that would, could make use of them.
Nice.
And that would be like the schools, the Council on Aging, and other various departments that have already committed themselves to work with our town government on this program. So, again, it's really something for people that really need to get this relief on their taxes.
People on a fixed income really.
Exactly,
use that
senior
kind of
citizens
help.
on a fixed income. So,
Okay, so we're on to Article 20 already, hey.
sure, Article 20 and 21 relate to the article submitted by the Southwick Tolland Granville Regional School District. The first one is their annual assessment, and they have developed an assessment that is fiscally responsible for the upcoming year, that pretty much holds the line in some cases, that is looking for a less than a 1% decrease for their operational budget from the previous year. And, I'm sure the factoring in of the anticipated closure of the Granville Village School factors into that issue, but at the same time, their borrowing authorization article number 21, which is going to help them replace transportation vehicles, add classroom technology and equipment, pave their driveways and parking lot areas, building maintenance, and help fund a new school playground, is going to be requiring them to go from an annual borrowing authorization of $350,000 up to $600,000. So they need to start, again, continuing the investment into their infrastructure that's outside of the borrowings and the work that was done on the school buildings. So this is separate and distinct from the school buildings.
Okay, I see.
The separate and school building, the school building debt service back charge to all three member communities is in the assessment that's under Article 20. And that assessment to Southwick is $10,885,951. So, and I know the selectmen and the finance committee of Southwick are very appreciative of the efforts of the school committee here in Southwick at the regional level, and the new school superintendent, Jen and Steve and those folks. So they've really worked well with the town boards, and we appreciate that from them.
Is there any additional information online on these two articles, 20 and 21? For the
Yeah, the school would have their budget documents, and then they'll also make a presentation. But the important thing to know is the school already had their budget hearings, and they voted to adopt their assessments at their district meetings, because the school district is a separate government.
Oh, I see.
So their line item budget was discussed at their budget hearings.
It's already been done.
This is merely a vote for yes or no at the local level of the member communities.
Okay, very good.
The people always need to be reminded of that, although they've been a region since 1988.
Been a while. So, Article 22, open container.
Sure, Article 22 and 21 are both what you would call open container public consumption bylaws, and this really relates to both one for alcohol and one for marijuana. I mean, obviously, both of those are, substances that the police department wants to make sure are regulated from a public consumption point of view. Like in public parks, public buildings, public sidewalks, public spaces.
You would have thought that would have been in place by now.
Well, right now, a person could be, probably dealt with from a criminal point of view. And so what this does is this gives the police department to issue tickets in a non-criminal disposition point of view, in a civil.
Okay.
This is a civil approach for the police department as another tool to handle these issues for the consumption of alcohol and marijuana in public settings. So
That makes good sense.
That wasn't in place as a tool for our police
Right.
department before.
They'd have to arrest them.
They had
put
to
them
do
in
it from a
jail,
criminal point of view.
Clog up the system this way here, they can
Right.
find them, and
Yep, this just becomes a civil ticket.
makes good sense.
So this is something that the police chief and his command staff wanted to have the selectmen address. So this will be addressed and spoken to at the town meeting.
22 and 23 are basically the same, but just for different substances.
Yeah, one was alcohol and one is marijuana.
Article 24, common driveway moratorium deletion.
Yeah, a number of years ago, there had been an effort to put in a zoning bylaw that regulated common driveways. And while that was underway, there was a moratorium on allowing them. But the moratorium did not expire. So this is a housekeeping issue.
Oh, even though it got voted?
Even though town meeting has already adopted a common driveway zoning bylaw,
Right.
and we might have even had, I believe, had a regular bylaw too. There was not something that went back and cleaned up the language and took the moratorium out of action.
So that's just housekeeping.
This is strictly a housekeeping issue on behalf of the planning board, and they'll speak to this issue also at the town meeting.
Article 25, you're going to have to explain that one to me.
Well, Article 25 relates to issues on the advent of both medical and the siting of facilities for the sale, distribution, processing of medical marijuana and recreational marijuana. So they're two different issues. So the planning board and the town attorney divided the two issues up. And these two moratorium votes, no different than the vote that was put in for a common driveway, is the planning board is going to be developing zoning bylaws that relate to these issues and how these facilities are sited and placed in town, because I don't believe you can outright ban them unless you have a different legislation to do that. But in lieu of that, we have to properly site these facilities and manage them. So the planning board wants to put in these moratoriums in the meantime while they work on this issue, and to see what comes from the Commonwealth from the agencies that are regulating these issues.
So
So that's why you see a lot of...
25 is for medical marijuana, and 26 is for recreational marijuana moratorium?
Yep.
If I'm correct? And
No,
Yep.
Let's see, 20,
And-
yep, 25 is for the,
And the
for the medical
moratorium
one.
is for how long on the medical? Are they asking for that?
I don't know if they have a date on that. I think they're waiting for, there's new regs that are gonna be coming out. So because of the efforts of new regulations coming out, they want to make sure that the moratoriums, they're looking for it to be effective through June 30th, 2018. So this does have end dates on
All
it.
right, yeah, and that's the medical.
Right.
The recreational, they're asking for a moratorium.
Yep.
Deadline is March 15th, 2018? No.
Yeah, so they're gonna be following what the law requires on that one. So that will be something that is presented by the planning board at the town meeting coming up.
All righty then. Article 26.
Okay.
No, that was Article 26.
That was 26. 26, actually, we're under 27.
27.
27 has to do with the water line easement that would also be going through the North Pond property.
Uh-huh.
Because as part of that, there is a water line that's on North Pond near, I think, Bad Road. And this would allow for an easement through that property to come out onto South Long Yard so that the DPW Water Division could secure the easement through this property. And it's going to allow them to install a water main loop from South Long Yard all the way through to Point Grove, and of course, Bab Road connects to Point Grove.
So they take the two dead ends, connect them, and
Right.
make a loop.
Yep, and it's going to help reliability of the water system. So what's happening is the town would be paying back the Franklin Land Trust, who has the purchase option for this land.
Right.
So this $30,000 would include $25,000 for the easement and $5,000 for the survey work.
Very good.
So this is another important initiative through our Water Commission and our DPW department.
Article 28.
Article 28 represents our last article, and this one would authorize the select board to enter into a long-term lease for these open space parcels that are on Liberty Lane and Lexington Circle. And it would be to enter into a long-term lease for the installation of a cell tower. And the town has been approached by a large carrier which wishes to increase cellular capacity for customers in the geographic area of town. The town would issue an RFP bid document for any and all interested carriers to submit a bid, because just because a carrier comes to us, you know, we just can't enter into it. We actually have to put out the bid because of bidding laws. So we would put it out to bid. Any prospective bidder must file with the planning board for the necessary permits and public hearings with the abutters input to seek approvals before an agreement would be entered into by
And this would
the select board.
provide a revenue income source
Right.
for the town?
Yep, the town would be able to secure any funds because these parcels are town-owned parcels.
Seems like it'd be a good use of them. Bring some
Right.
money in for the
And I
town.
believe in this particular, you know, one of these parcels has over 30 acres, so this would be a very minimal impact on it. It would still remain as great open space for the neighborhood.
Yep, I've been out there and I've seen it.
Right. And you know, you saw the balloon test? So it didn't look like it was an impact in terms of the height.
That would look like a good fit.
Okay. So that really represented the,
Well, thank you
Last
so
article.
much for your explanation. You did a great job. Even I can understand it. Now I have a better idea of what I'm voting on at the town meeting on May 16th at the high school.
yeah, and again, Dennis, I want to thank you for inviting me here under this Channel 15 public forum, and I would suggest people when they view these Channel 15 program that they go online, www.southwickma.org, and Make sure you view everything that's been posted on the town webpage, and go out and vote on May 9th and come to the town meetings on May 16th. And thank you, and have a very good day.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.